It's Carolina and it's Atlanta. It's coming up for the NFC South crown. Tracy Wolfson's down on the sidelines before kickoff.
Well, thanks a lot, Jim. Julio Jones has barely practiced since suffering that hip injury in Week 15. He did very little on Friday. He did almost nothing during pregame warm-ups, but I had a chance to speak with head coach Mike Smith. He said he will have no limitations today, and he said he's further along than last week. And we know what happened last week. He finished with 7 catches, 107 yards.
Big part of the win. Thank you, Tracy. Down in New Orleans, he's just had a phenomenal year. Atlanta's going to be kicking here to Carolina to start the game. Panthers won the toss and won the football. So Matt Bosher handles the kickoff chores for the Falcons, and Fozzie Whitaker is the deep returner along with Brenton Burson, both standing at the goal line for the Panthers, but they will not have a chance to run this one out. It'll bring out Cam Newton and the Carolina offense to the 20. Again, when you talk about Newton this year, to define it, the ankle surgery in the offseason, the fractured ribs in the preseason, the car accident a couple of weeks ago, and he's still standing, trying to lead his team to the division title for the 2nd straight year. Khalil has had a good year, perhaps not recognized as much as should have around the league. Some thought he should have been a Pro Bowl pick. Jonathan Stewart, a big part of the reason why Carolina has burst here over the last 3 games. He's been the leading rusher in the league over the last 4 weeks as Jonathan Stewart. They're going to be without D'Angelo Williams yet again today. He's inactive, out with a hand injury. First down from the 20. And that is fired right into the hands of Greg Olsen. And Greg Olsen picks up 18 with that one.
Well, they come with the blitz right away. The Atlanta Falcons do. And the Carolina offense is ready one-on-one down the field. They said if Greg Olsen's one-on-one this week, we've got to take advantage of it. They did not the last time they played.
That gives Olsen now 999 yards on the season. Exact same total Kelvin Benjamin has coming into this game. Both will be over 1,000, no doubt, in a short while, as Newton, in fact, gives it back over to Olsen. That gives him his first career 1,000-yard season. The tight end and the Pro Bowl pick picks up another 8. Atlanta's defense, statistically, it's a disaster in many ways. Last in the league, total offense, last against the pass, last on 3rd down. But Bill, in recent weeks, they've certainly come on, and they've created a lot of turnovers.
3 out of the last 4 weeks, their run defense has been much better. They got bigger up front to try to stop that run, and it's worked. And today should be a great test against this Panthers running attack.
On 2nd and 1, it's Stewart. Shimming outside, and that wiggle, very effective. Picks up the first down. Nice piece of running by Stewart for a gain of 7. And Ron Rivera and his Panthers, they went 12-4 last year. They were the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs and got the bye, but then lost at home to San Francisco. Now trying to win this division. No one ever has, since they reconfigured about a dozen years ago, the NFC South. No team's ever won it back-to-back years. They could accomplish that today. Very
confident about his football team coming in here. It doesn't even resemble the one we saw many weeks ago.
And first down this time, Stewart is unable to get past a couple of defenders. Loss of 1. Yeah, you look through the years since 02. Look how if you just stack it out like a deck of cards, every team in the division has won it 3 times, and no team consecutively. And Carolina has a chance to do that today. Mike Smith, meanwhile, his team at 6-9. 5 of the 6 wins for them, oddly enough, division wins. Undefeated in the division. 1-9 outside of it. 2nd and 11, and Newton with pressure does not go down, and now scrambles with it, and he picks up the first. Cotchery was out there to help give him a block after he was able to free himself from Tyson Jackson.
You know, Cam Newton's not one of these quarterbacks. When he gets pressure, he takes off and runs. The old saying, oh, when he feels pressure, he looks down to rush. He does not. He feels it. He keeps looking for receivers, and he waited to the last second. The man coverage down the field, that's what you got to pay attention to against Cam Newton. Somebody must keep their eyes on the quarterback at all times.
He's got 3 wideouts with Philly Brown added to the starters. Cotchery and Benjamin. First down, Pete on the zone read, and it's Newton going down after another 9.
Well, there it is, Jim. You know, you get them rolling, you get everybody thinking, the emotions, the blitz. Carolina picked up the blitz, they threw it down the field, and now you give them the first true zone read. We talked about this in the pregame show, and the defense lost their discipline right away, and Cam Newton goes outside for an easy 9 yards.
Talking to Cam last night, raised right here in the Atlanta area in College Park, Georgia. Grew up a Falcon fan. He's been running offenses with a zone read since high school. They pick up the first down with Stewart. So they're moving right down the field and nearing the 20 now with a new set of downs.
That'll be a nice alley. That's what that is. You know, Jim, it's been a long time since we've had those, but Cam Newton talked about how he loves to run the football early in the game. It gets him involved, but it helps everybody else. It makes the defense draw in, makes it easier for the receivers. And, of course, you focus on him, look out, then you'll get a dose of Jonathan Stewart. Atlanta has come out on the defensive side and been creative. Carolina was ready for it.
He splits Olsen wide right, first down. Goes underneath to Stewart. And he's near another first down marker.
Cam Newton is playing just like I've seen him, like he did last week here late in the year. Great balance now throwing the football. I watched him warm up, and he was laser sharp. And that first throw of the game, Jim, said it all. You know, they come with the blitz. He was calm and threw that in cut to Greg Olsen. Big confidence boost for this Carolina offense this drive.
Yeah, Newton is 3 out of 3 for 38 yards. Mike Tolbert now in the backfield. Fake to him, pass over to Kachuri, and he's wrapped up. Only picks up a yard. Robert McClain was over there with him.
Well, a couple things about this game. You heard all offseason in Hard Knocks, and you talked about the Atlanta Falcons. They want to be more physical, so they brought in some big guys. Paul Soliai, Tyson Jackson. They've been playing a lot of their defensive linemen to try to stop the run. It's worked. 3 out of the last 4 games they played, they've been really good. And for Carolina, they will test your run defense with the running quarterback and just a good running attack anyway.
2nd and 9. And again, Tolbert is the ball carrier for no gain. Mike Nolan is the defensive coordinator. And when we talked to the head coach, Mike Smith, this week, we were talking about his defense and all these numbers that are not impressive. And he really made it clear he cares about 2 things: points allowed and turnovers created.
Right. 2 things they've done much better than the stats show. And for the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton said it to us last night. You almost get nervous in the red zone because they have not been very good inside the 20.
It's interesting, wasn't it? He said you can almost feel it when we get in the red zone. It just doesn't feel the same.
Doesn't click. They don't get the rhythm.
3rd and 9. Benjamin on the near side. And Cam's going to take off with it, but he's going to be stopped a couple yards short.
That was a good safe call there, Jim. That's what that was. The defense is going to drop back. Don't take a chance. They double team Babineau out of there, and this is a good decision. No doubt you got to kick the field goal here. Well, that's some big hits, though. Cam Newton, he knew he was close to getting the first down. That's why he lowered his head and went for the extra yards.
Well, he still was a couple short, so it's going to be a short field goal from 21 yards from Graham Gano.
Time off the clock. How about that? 7 minutes. Hope to get points, everything you want against Atlanta.
That 7-minute drive produces 3 points. They added 11 plays off the opening kickoff. 3-0 Carolina. So there's the drive put together by the Panthers. On that drive, Newton threw for 39 yards, rushed for another 29. But again, in the red zone, they were not able to close the deal.
Yep, got caught again. When you don't do well on first down, the red zone, defense can drop back and make it tough.
Here's Gano, leads the league in touchback percentage this year, and he gets another one here, not giving Devin Hester the chance to do what he does so well. We'll see Matt Ryan and the Falcons for the first time in a moment.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The Dodge Brothers. 100 years later, their spirit lives on. And by Verizon. Get the good more this holiday season with the best end-of-season deals on great tech gifts.
And the Georgia Aquarium. Meanwhile, inside the dome, the first snap for Ryan and the Falcons is an incomplete pass through the hands of Jaquiz Rogers, who starts today with Steven Jackson inactive with a quad injury. Matt Ryan, the last 4 games, over 300 yards on each occasion. His offensive line, the rookie they took in the first round, Jake Matthews on the left side.
You can tell they like to hurry up to the Atlanta Falcons. The big matchup is the defensive line and the offensive line of Atlanta. Can he hold this good defensive front away from Matt Ryan?
2nd and 10. Rodgers. Give him 3. That offensive line, they started the year with Sam Baker at left tackle. He was an early casualty with a knee, so Matthews was going to be the right tackle. He's gone now the last 14 games on the left side. Julio Jones with that hip injury that Tracy reported on. He's out on the field with a 100-catch season for over 1,500 yards. Atlanta finding himself in a game seeing the opponent score first for the 4th consecutive week. 3rd and 7. It's Roddy White.
If you play zone defense against this offense, it's going to be tough to start. They stack the receivers to make the defense have a hard time hitting him at the line of scrimmage. Matt Ryan saw a little area and threw it in there with very good timing.
And a first down out at the 38. And trying to fight his way through a tiny hole was Rodgers for 4 more. The Carolina defense, and I tell you, over the last 3 weeks, they've only given up an average of 13 points a game. That's 2nd best in the league in this closing month of the regular season. And that secondary has been so rebuilt since we saw them in October on a Thursday night game against New Orleans.
It has, Jim. It's a faster secondary. They match up better now against this Atlanta offense than they did many weeks ago.
On 2nd and 6, it's White again for the first down. Roddy White, who's always come up big against the Panthers in his career, got another 13.
Well, they saw it was man coverage. They're respecting this pass rush, and Roddy White, boy, Ben Wickery gives him a beautiful shake at the line of scrimmage. Nobody inside to help out. Good timing by Matt Ryan.
Devontae Freeman is the running back and the ball carrier. And the rookie from Florida State has a gain of 3, and we're going to go to New York to James Brown.
Jim Nantz, big defensive stop. They started first to go on the 1-yard line, and they were unable to punch it in. Mike McCarthy elects to go for it on 4th and 1. As you can see, Detroit's #1 defense against the run stops Eddie Lacy. 0-0 Detroit's ball.
Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, and Tracy Wolfson.
All right, thank you, JB and Boomer. The winner of that game, it looks like, will be the 2, the loser the 6 in the NFC playoffs. 2nd and 7 as Ryan's right on the line of scrimmage and almost has it intercepted. Stepping up and almost coming away with his Norman.
Josh Norman is going to match up today with Julio Jones. And a good job by Matt Ryan. He moves around a lot more than people think. But Josh Norman was matched against Julio Jones weeks ago, and Carolina did, I thought, a very good job. Every once in a while, they're going to give him some help. But he's one of those corners which you need. Not afraid, playing maybe arguably one of the top 3 or 4 wide receivers in the NFL, and being aggressive.
3rd and 7, Devin Hester's in as a receiver. 4 in all. Line goes a lead, and Kuechly's contact knocks it out of the hands of Rodgers.
That's all they talked about when they talk about this Carolina defense. Matt Ryan looks down the field. If he feels pressure, he likes to dump the ball short. So that's great. But watch Luke Kuechly. Reads the quarterback very fast and attacks those short receivers. Tackles them before they can get extra yards. That was an awesome play by Luke Kuechly.
And I tell you, the chorus of Luke's gives you an early sign there's quite a Carolina turnout for this game. Some 240 miles from the Panthers' home stadium in Charlotte. So Bosher is out to punt. Burson is standing at the 10. And he gets what he wanted here. A lot of hang time. Burson makes the grab at the 13. Just a 29-yard punt. Puts him down at the 13-yard line. There's Kuechly. 3-0 Panthers. A reminder, keep the excitement of fantasy football going in the postseason and compete for up to $2,000 with CBSSports.com Playoff Challenge. Rules and the sign up at CBSSports.com/challenge. So Carolina, first drive, 7 minutes, 10 seconds, led to a short field goal. Picked up 5 first downs on that drive. Now they start their second series with a run to the short side with Stewart. And it picks up a big gain. Running behind Mike Reamer's side.
Well, they get you. You're in a quandary. What do, Jim? You see it. They can run the football to running back, but Cam Newton, you've got to be careful what you do on defense and make sure you got eyes on the quarterback. And the zone read, hey, you can't play in between. If you try to play the running back and Cam Newton, you have no chance. Did the safe draw play at the end, which gave him an easy field goal.
And that picks up the first down with Mike Tolbert. Picking up about 6. We got another update. JB and Boomer.
Packers special teams play.
Well, Sam Martin, the punter for the Detroit Lions, kicks the ball right down the middle of the field. Micah Hyde receives it. He takes it right back up to the middle of the field, down the left sideline. 55-yard punt return. Green Bay on top, 7-0.
Jim Nantz.
All right, so that takes away all that effort by that Detroit defense on the goal line stand. Here on first down, Newton down the field to Benjamin. He's got him and he drops it. The rookie from Florida State had separation, had it thrown right in his hands. Couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it was. He took. Well, no, he kept his eyes on it, but he just got tense. And it was a little fake screen to the outside, and that fake made Desmond Trufant, who's going to be matched up against Benjamin, he looked, he hesitated, and that was a big scoring play that they missed.
It's a 2nd and 10 from the 29. Panthers have already rushed for 53 yards in this opening quarter. They're going up top here. They go to Stewart. And look at him trying to shake out of a tackle and get within a foot of the first down. Paul Warlow had him about 3 yards short of the first, but Stewart now sets it up 3rd and about a foot.
Well, a couple things here, Jim. This game is so different from the one we saw before, and you can already see it when you watch the Carolina Panthers. Their offensive line does not resemble the one you and I saw weeks ago against the New Orleans Saints. They're aggressive. They work together as a unit. And that's one of the reasons why you see Cam Newton, this confidence, because he trusts this offensive line.
This offensive line that's been together now as a group 5 straight games. Gelling. 3rd and a foot. And the flip to Philly Brown with a blocker in front. Brown will cut it back to the inside. Then he goes out. Pushed out by Lowry.
Well, what they do, they go unbalanced line. So here's only the tight end. The extra lineman's over here. So they make you think it's got to go to the unbalanced side, the right. And the reverse catches Atlanta. That Mike Shula is, boy, he's coming out aggressive, right? I mean, in some of these plays, the fake screen, the throw down the field, that one, what I call coach 'em plays, give your players a chance to make big plays by what the coach designs.
And now that rushing total already at 83 yards. Just the first quarter. And they go ground again with Stewart for 3. Celebrate America's greatest stars at the Kennedy Center with performances by Bruno Mars, Bruce Springsteen, and Lady Gaga. Stephen Colbert will host Tuesday, 9/8 Central, only CBS.
Great mixture of plays for the Carolina Panthers, keeping this defense, which came out aggressive, trying to take advantage of the situation. Carolina was ready. And a terrific start.
2nd and 7. Newton keeps it. Newton weaves through the right side and has another first down, as he indicates. Another 9 for Newton, who's got 38 on the ground himself.
Well, Jim, they ran the outside zone with Cam. Watch Norwell come around. The running back goes. Oh, he goes outside. Nope, this time he comes inside. So they got you going. Which way is the quarterback going to keep it? You start playing outside thinking, I'll make sure Cam Newton doesn't get out there. And they run a power up inside with Norwell, the left guard.
Panthers putting together another impressive drive. First down. Into the red zone as Stewart's got another 10. Running behind Ed Dixon.
Man, this is like Bill Walsh's passing game. They got so many different runs here. It's incredible. That time Ryan Khalil, pulls out the center and leads him up the field. Awesome blocking. And there's so many run plays you have to try to defense. Not only are you trying to read the blocks, you're trying to figure out who has the football.
Matt Ryan's only had 1 series so far.
Here we are in the red zone once again. Carolina Panthers.
First down from the 11. Newton to Kotchery. Out of bounds at the 5.
That's what they need. Yeah, that's what really has hurt this Carolina offense in the red zone. Their first down play selection. You know, it's always like, Jim, they don't know what to do. Should we trick you or should we line up and run what we do? And that was a good productive play. They play off, take advantage of it, and get a good 6-yard throw on first down.
A drive that began back at their own 13 has now marched all the way to the 5 of the Falcons. Final 20 seconds of the opening quarter. One that has seen most of the way the Panthers offense on the field. 2nd and 4 from the 5. And is open. It's caught. And Dixon has the touchdown.
Well, once again, the formation is what really hurt the Atlanta defense. They bunch him up. Hard to play man-to-man. Dixon's going to come from the inside. He releases quick. Warlow, the linebacker, cannot get out there quick enough. It's going to be close. He's down, but nobody's touched him, and it's going to be a touchdown.
Yeah, no contact. So he just bounces on into the end zone. And Ed Dixon started to come on here the last few weeks, the former Raven.
You could say that about a lot of the players in Carolina.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of guys really find their roles. They've gotten healthy. They've really switched the lineup on both sides. What a start for Carolina.
Minot adds the extra point. And it's 10-0, the visitors. Newton to Dixon. They march 87 yards for the touchdown.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Always one of a kind. And by American Sniper from Warner Brothers Pictures. Now playing in select theaters everywhere January 16.
Carolina just completed its longest drive of the year, 87 yards. 10 plays this time, leading to the touchdown. And you rush for 105 yards in the first quarter. You can put that defense on its heels the rest of the way.
Tires them out. Makes you do different things, Jim. Makes you crowd the line of scrimmage, which helps Cam Newton and the receivers.
This one will be returned by Hester. And he somehow broke free. Hester trying to change the momentum on his own. Webb is able to run him down at about the 35. But just what the Falcons needed to close out the first quarter. A shot of energy. And it comes from the Pro Bowler yet again, Devin Hester, with his longest kick return of the season. Arthur Blank and brain trust of the Falcons. You see now the Falcons start the second quarter at the 38 of Carolina. And that running play stopped quickly by Kuechly. That's Freeman on the carry. Loss of 1.
Well, the linebacker made the tackle on the run, but in the pass game, these linebackers can close. And this is a big part for Atlanta's pass game. Today, that first series had to alarm the Atlanta Falcons a little because the defensive line was pushing that offensive line back fast and getting around Matt Ryan way too quick.
This is the first time in 37 drives that the Carolina opponent has started with a short field thanks to the Hester return. And that's a completion to Harry Douglas for 5. Well, Matt Ryan, when you see him in person, you got to love the way he throws the football. And you look at some of the things he's done over the last 4 weeks. Most passing yards in the league over the last month.
There's nothing not to like about Matt Ryan. He is truly, and I don't like this word, I'm going to say it, elite quarterback in the NFL. And it's not him that's held his team back. He's played like a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. He needs more help.
3rd and 6 with pressure. Ryan still on his feet. Got the pass away for the first down.
What a job by Matt Ryan. I saw it in the preseason, Jim. We talked about it back in week 3. He's now more comfortable. Felt the pocket once again. It's breaking down fast. But we see him moving around more this year than he has in his career. Even Mike Smith said it. He's moved more this year than he did all of his other years combined.
Got it to Freeman for the first, who will sit out this play. And Rodgers. Nothing there on that left side. Tomorrow on CBS, NCIS Los Angeles has never been better. Catch all the fun, drama, action you love tomorrow, 10/9 Central, only on CBS.
Well, you can see how strong this Carolina front seven. I'm telling you, they got men, and they got a lot of them. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But Atlanta's offensive line, Jim, you know what? A lot like Carolina's, kind of solidified here in the last few weeks and playing better.
Hey, we're good, we're good. 15 on tonight, Sunday.
2nd and 10. Here's the dump off pass to Rodgers. Jaquiz Rodgers going sideways for a moment. And then tries to drive a Panther with him to about the 21. Gain of 6.
Great respect for the defense. He's getting rid of the football very fast. And boy, that's a big one. Thomas Davis looks like he might be okay. But Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly never come out of the game. In this day and age of specialization, that's saying something to be that good.
Of course, Thomas Davis has had to overcome all kinds of injuries in his career. We'll take a short break. All right, Thomas Davis did walk off and looked to be okay. We've still got the helmet on, but we're back to action with a 3rd and 4 for the Falcons. From the Carolina 21. Ryan finds his man. Jones at the 10. Kuechly drives him down, but it's a 1st and goal to go.
Beautiful job standing in there. On the outside, it's a zone, and Matt Ryan puts the perfect trajectory on that pass and gets it over the top. I'm pretty sure he knew they were faking the blitz because nobody was covering the slot receiver. That's usually a giveaway. But again, that pocket is closing fast. Matt Ryan knows it, throwing on rhythm.
Thomas Davis has returned at linebacker after one play on the sideline. 1st and goal. And it's coming over to Edwards. Douglas. It's Douglas. Down at the 2. Harry Douglas, their 3rd receiver. He's had, in the last 2 home games, 19 receptions. And during his career, so many times when either Roddy White was banged up or Julio Jones, he has stepped up and come up big.
Well, Jim, that's what they like about their receiving core. You want to double their 2 good guys? Here he comes. Oh, he faked coming across and then went back out. That was a great open field tackle by Josh Norman, who has been tackling extremely well.
2nd and goal from the 2. Looking over to DeMarco, who drops the touchdown. Patrick DeMarco, the fullback, was wide open in the flat.
Nobody's with him. They get fooled by the fake, and what happens is you're thinking run. You know it's near the goal line, and the linebackers run up, and Glanton never gets outside, number 57.
High stakes game. We've had a drop by Benjamin on the Panthers side, and that one for a touchdown it would have been for the Falcons. 3rd and goal. Here's Ryan. Now running out. Throwing and incomplete. And no flag. Roddy White's looking around, hoping to find one. And they'll bring out the field goal unit.
That was Roman Harper. What a job by him. He's in the back of the end zone. Watch 41. Mears, he knows the quarterback has moved. What a job again by Matt Ryan, but even a better job of the defensive backs for the Carolina Panthers.
Here's Matt Bryant, who converted 4 field goals in the first matchup against Carolina, 1917 Falcon victory back on November 16th. This will be from 21. And Matt Bryant is able to deliver it. The Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee from the Falcons. Bryant puts points on the board. Atlanta gets that 66-yard kick return by Hester, but unable to make more than a field goal out of it, as they had a certain touchdown drop by DeMarco. 21-yard field goal by Bryant. Bosher, though, handles the kickoff duties for the Falcons. Driving kick to Burson. And he is hammered by DeMarco, as well as Southward at the 22. This will mark the last regular season game of the magnificent career of Charlie Dayton as the director of communications for the Carolina Panthers. Just a legend in the PR business around the NFL since he came into the league back in '76 with Tampa Bay. Eventually he was here in Atlanta, on to Washington, and then with Carolina as their PR man since day one. He's going to be the club historian from this point forward, and I tell you, he is beloved around this league, and we wish him well in his new role with the franchise. So appreciative of all the behind-the-scenes stuff he's done for so many people through the years in the media.
Best thing you could say about a PR person, public relations, they get it done, and he does.
It's Benjamin with another drop. So the rookie off to a really tough start.
Yeah, they need to do something to get his confidence going. That was not that that's an easy catch, but by NFL standards, you know, look, you just got to catch that one like it's nothing. And Cam Newton, that time when you see single coverage outside, he can fire the football to the sideline as well as anybody in this league. It makes it tough on corners because they're willing to give up those deep out cuts like we just saw for Kelvin Benjamin.
From the gun on 2nd and 10. In on Newton, who slips out of the pressure and runs ahead for 9. Bierman had him for a sack, but somehow Newton escaped.
Well, Croy Bierman, 71, beats Bell inside. What a good first move. And we talked to him about tackling Cam Newton. He says, man, you got to get your arms around his waist. But he was coming so fast. Cam Newton so calm in the pocket. And a lot of that has to do with, hey, he might be he's the biggest quarterback in the league. He knows it. And he can shake tackles.
It's a 3rd and 1. And it is loud. And it's Newton. Knocked down, incomplete. Desmond Trufant denied the pass to Burson. And the Panthers will punt.
All the way across the field. Look at Trufant. Oh, my gosh. Makes up the ground and outruns it to Burson. And the Carolina Panthers running this so well. They were going for it by trying to get a big play in a situation where everybody expected run.
Trufant, their first-round pick out of Washington a year ago. Got a ton of family in from Tacoma to see this game.
He loves playing one-on-one. He said, hey, this game is going to be centered around how well I play.
Brad Nortman punts it to Hester, but Hester given no chance to return it as it goes out of bounds at about the 30. 39-yard punt. 3rd and 1. Try to go to Burson. Trufant, the truth, as he says, denies.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by New York Life Insurance Company. Domino's. Visit Domino's.com. And by Honda. where you can get great deals during Happy Honda Days.
The varsity still going strong since 1928 right here in downtown Atlanta. The Falcons trail it here 10-3. The winner takes the NFC South and will be the 4th seed next week, hosting a wild card game. Ryan incomplete to Jones, who had Norman defending. How about in the division? Atlanta, I mentioned it earlier, 5-0, but outside the division, 1-9.
Well, they're in the division, of course, we know that, and today they are going against the best defense in this division.
2nd and 10, and driving ahead is Freeman for 5. Their only win outside of the division was in a game here against Arizona, and you know, the way things, who knows what's going to happen by day's end, but if Atlanta won here, it could very well be Arizona next week as their opponent in the wild card round.
Well, Steven Jackson out of this game. He's a good pass protector on 3rd downs, but so is Jaquiz Rogers, number 32. But now Devontae Freeman usually goes out for passes.
3rd and 5. Ryan trying to stay on the field, stay on his feet, and he's taken down. That's going to end a long stretch without being sacked. It's Ely who got to him.
Well, it's the pass protection. He's got to come across here and block Ely. I hate these kind of protections when you put a running back on a defensive lineman. They double teamed inside. That leaves the running back to come across. That's too much to ask of Devontae Freeman.
First time in 112 pass plays that Ryan was dropped for a loss. So off the sack, they bring out Bosher, who booms it to about the 15. And Burson's there for the fair catch. 56-yard punt. 8 minutes to go, first half. Carolina jumping in front here. 10-3, Panthers lead it. Blood on the uniform. Cam Newton, of course, suffered that carpet burn the first drive of the game. They tried to bandage it up, but that's not holding on too well.
Well, he likes to get into the game, so that blood just makes you feel like you're more involved also. Running the ball well, throwing the ball excellent. Cam Newton so far has been the difference in this game.
We start the drive with Stewart for 4. Stewart now 7 carries for 35 yards. The NFL regular season will conclude tonight, Sunday Night Football. Al and Chris will have Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, 8:30 Eastern on NBC. And, of course, the winner of that one will take the AFC North title.
Dwight Lowry, number 20, comes in late. He gets his foot, looks like, caught underneath. Stewart, the running back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amazon's new Fire HD, powerful tablet, endless entertainment, and by Pepsi. Hype your hometown with Pepsi at Pepsi.com/halftime.
Well, the AFC playoff picture, all 6 playoff teams from the AFC are going to have at least 10 wins. Baltimore, I should say, got the 6th seed today with its win over Cleveland, while Kansas City defeated San Diego. 2nd and 7. Cam Newton lobs it, and he's got Philly Brown for a big game. By the way, that secondary without Dwight Lowry, who, when we went to break, you saw him down. He hobbled to the sideline with help, and Desmond Southward replaced him. This picks up 28, Phil.
Yeah, Jim, and I think it's a big blow, Dwight Lowry being out there. But Cam Newton did not take the open short yard throw. So he decided he could feel the protection was good. He moved around and got the big play, throwing it to Philly Brown down the field.
And that's a 28-yard catch for Brown in this game, plus a 28-yard run. Came on the opening drive. Here's a 1st and 10 carry for 1 for Stewart.
Well, today Cam Newton has run the football many times. Faked it outside, goes inside. Week 11 against Atlanta. And what happens here today? Watch the left guard Norwell. They do the same thing. They fake outside. Who are you going to go for? Cam Newton takes it up inside for a good game. Jim, I think we're getting the idea why defensive coordinators do not like playing against quarterbacks like Cam Newton.
2nd and 9. And they run it for a second straight play with Stewart, this time for no gain. So the running part of this offense, not what we saw at the very start. They had over 100 yards rushing in the first quarter. Their 11th straight game with over 100 yards rushing.
Well, you know, Jonathan Stewart, don't forget, he went to Oregon, so he's an excellent runner out of the shotgun formation with Cam Newton back there. But they do a lot of looks like this, where they can give him extra protection if it is a blitz by the Falcons, which it's not.
Sean Baker added to the secondary for Atlanta. 3rd and 9. They come in on Newton, and he got it away just to get rid of it with it thrown in the area of Benjamin.
I was wrong. It was a blitz. And it comes so hard. I think it's right here. And watch the running back come across. No, it was the other. It was Ishmael, the safety, 36, and he just came, ran into the running back, and made Cam Newton throw the football away.
Benjamin without a catch in this game. He's had his opportunities. He dropped a couple of passes already. That one he never had a shot at it. Covered up by Trufant. Here's Norton. Trying to be so careful with Hester. And at that one he didn't exactly connect with. Just a punt of 34 yards. Out of bounds at the 19. 10-3 Panthers. Winner takes the NFC South. We're back here in Atlanta. Jim Nance, Bill Sims, Tracy Wolfson, Lance Barrow, and Mike Arnold in the truck, and back there also as well the great Freddie Pinciera. We call him Bucky.
There he is.
Today's his birthday. He's been a part of this CBS Sports family since back in 1967.
That's why, you know, I saw him earlier today. Don't wonder he was smiling so
He's
so
always
much.
smiling.
Well, yeah, I know he is, but he probably got some good gifts from the guys there. They're all so giving.
He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever know.
No question.
Here on first down, it's Ryan. Finally goes down. And that's Charles Johnson who got him, the Georgia native.
Yep, he just fought through it. The corner, he keeps it tight. And he gets around Schrader, and look at that, holds on and comes back and gets him again. So what a job by Charles Johnson. We thought maybe he would have it. Well, he does. He has his high school he went to here in Georgia. State champions are all here at the game watching him today.
Yeah, he pointed up to the stands where he's treating the entire high school football team from Hawkinsville to a suite at this game. They just won the state A championship.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
As we hear from Bill Levy for the first time today, goes, that's our first flag with 4:51 to go in the half.
Well, enjoy it. But, you go back to Charles Johnson. You see these big guys. Last night we're talking to him. You just marvel. You watch him on the field. An unbelievable athlete growing up. Basketball, football, track.
That's not all.
And tennis.
Yeah. Tremendous doubles player for his high school.
Wasn't crazy about the tennis outfits, but, loved playing.
He was on a state 4x100 relay championship state champ team. Relay team. Here's Ryan getting rid of it. And almost, in fact, it was intercepted. Scooped up by Harper. And Harper tries to dive in, and it's a touchdown. Roman Harper.
When you try to throw with so much pressure, which it was that time, watch how the pocket, everybody gets around his feet. He moves up, and he can't throw the football where he wants. Nice catch by Roman Harper, and really, how appropriate, because he has held this young secondary together. Look at Matt Ryan. He just knows they're around him. Once again, is Charles Johnson. Couldn't step up the way he wanted to. This Carolina defensive front, that was the first thing we said. They could be the difference. Can you stop their power? And so far, they've won the match.
Roman Harper.
Yeah, he's
able to get the football in the hands of someone important to him. His 124th career game, and that's his second career touchdown.
A lot of experience in that hair, right? All that gray, that tells you been around. You got to be a good player.
It's the third pick six thrown by Ryan this season. The Panthers defense gets a sack, then they get pressure. It results in a pick and a run back and a touchdown. Roman Harper, the former Saint, able to make a great grab on the interception. Watch Kuechly now leading the path to the end zone.
Oh yeah, I saw him. He's got Harry Douglas and all the way to the ground. I mean, Kuechly, it's every play, Jim. We see so many guys in the league, but there's a few that stand out, and he's one of them.
I'm sure Harry Douglas was saying, what have I got myself into here?
Yeah, that's right.
This is crazy.
He did the right thing. He kept backtracking, hoping somebody would get in there and make a play to help him out.
Hester, midway in the end zone. Out to the 10, to the 20. We'll give him a 29-yard return, but we'll check the flag.
Holding. Number 53 of the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, there's all these reports swirling coming into the game, Phil, about the future of Mike Smith and the coaching staff here in Atlanta. Reports are out that a search committee has already been put in place.
Yep. You know, I don't understand it. Why do you, if you want to do that, can't you wait till the season's over? So, because what's the difference a week going to make when you go out there? But you keep hearing it. Mike Smith has held this team together. They had a terrible time there for a few weeks, but here at the end, they've been playing their best football. And we heard that from the coaches and all the players, how they never really got negative around their organization, which can really happen, Jim, when you have high expectations and it doesn't go well.
One play with Freeman, and that's Harper just after the return for the touchdown, getting the tackle on that play. Here's Mike Smith. I think he's done a fine job since he came here in 08. And, you know, you put a spotting board together like I'm looking at both of ours right now, and you start saying, what, is this the talent? I mean, what were the expectations? Is this a roster that dazzles you, where the expectation should have been, hey, this should have been a 12-4 season. They're not there. We should fire the coach. I don't see it.
No, I don't think many people did, but it did unravel for a little bit, and it's a shame.
And another running play, which doesn't make too many people happy here. Birds are out, gain of 2.
The Boo Birds watching the game. If you're watching the game, don't you see that there's a big problem down on the field, and it's called that Carolina defensive front. And you got to protect your quarterback. There's a long way to go. You have Matt Ryan. He's come from behind many times, and you got to settle the game down and keep the situations where you give the offensive line and Matt Ryan a chance on third downs.
Ryan's missed on his last 4 throws. Passing down coming up on 3rd and 6. On the run, back to first. He's got Hester out at the 23-yard line. By the way, this is an Atlanta team that I don't know how they came back from the loss they had over in London the last weekend of October. They had a game 1 over there. Detroit came back to beat them. Then, of course, you go off the bye coming back from London. You got the 10-hour flight back home. Mike Smith gives this team a talk. Wasn't a fire and brimstone speech.
That's why they held it together. He said, we can't do anything about what's happened. But down here, he goes, but we can dang sure do something about the future, and they did.
Here's what we need to do, he told them, and they've got a lot of guys here. When you give them the message, they know how to execute it. Ball is out after the catch is picked up by Davis. Davis still on his feet and pushed out by Toilolo at the 10. It was Roddy White with the reception and then fumbled it. Glanton took the ball out of his hands.
I think it is going to be a fumble.
Well, it looks like a face mask to me.
Well, they're not going to call that one. It's close. But that's Glanton. It was a very good play action pass.
During the return of the interception, personal foul, low block of the receiving team. Half the distance of the goal, first down.
So there ends up being a face mask call, but it was called on Atlanta. So Carolina set up really close again. All right, Roddy White fumbling here a moment ago. And the ball's coming out before the knee makes contact with the turf. But the turnover is being reviewed. Bill Levy will come out now and verify it.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a fumble. This is the 2-minute warning.
What a sequence by this Carolina defense. They get the pick six, then they force yet another takeaway, and then off the penalties. There were 2 penalties actually on the run back that went against Atlanta, and they mark it off all the way down inside the 5-yard line. And the Verizon halftime report will be coming up shortly. JB and the crew getting all their nuggets together. Give you all the information to go with the highlights from the early action playoff news. Coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
Well, you get rewarded. They hustled on the defensive side. They've been working hard. They got pressure on Matt Ryan, the interception, and then Glanton, just a hustle, running down the field, made the play that can, well, of course, 2 plays that have really turned this game around.
The owner of the Panthers, Jerry Richardson, and his team trying to mount just a tremendous in-season turnaround. They started the season 2-0, and then they went from the middle of September until the first week of December with only 1 win, basically in about a 85-day stretch.
Yeah,
1-8-1.
It's unbelievable. They fought back to this position, playing their best football of the year. They're healthy. They made lineup changes. Jerry Richardson, the owner, an ex-NFL player, got to be proud of how they hung together, and just watching them play with such passion, which this Carolina team has done these last few weeks.
And you see the president of the Panthers to Mr. Richardson's left, Danny Morrison. The Panthers now set up again inside the 5, 1st and goal to go, coming out of a 2-minute warning. Newton straight ahead, driving the pile, still looking for it. Touchdown, Carolina.
Well, you try to get bigger and more physical up front for plays like this. And this offensive line, it was another power play. Maybe the only team in the NFL that can do this with their quarterback. And it was Norwell pulling around, and they just mushed it into the end zone.
That was some effort by Norwell.
Here he is. Watch the left guard pull around. Oh, gets it square, and it's just push it forward. And Cam Newton, that is tough to defend. He's up. He is across. That was one of the, I'll tell you, that was impressive. Little camouflage. Jericho Cotchery in the backfield. Well, that was just line them up, smash them football.
2 touchdowns in a 2.5-minute span for Carolina. And it's a 21-point lead.
Well, we've talked about this play, and it's, you know, it's so unique. I almost laughed talking about the left guard. Norwell pulling around. He gets a great block on Bartu. And Trey Essex, also the rookie guard from LSU. Of course, he did some good run blocking down at LSU. But what a first half for the Carolina Panthers.
Taking advantage off the Roddy White fumble. That's the 21st rush touchdown allowed by Atlanta this year. That's the most in the league. 60 Minutes coming up tonight. What is about Pope Francis that has captured the world's attention? Some of his closest friends will tell you only on 60 Minutes presents tonight, only CBS.
Well, I think for the Atlanta Falcons, so adept at the hurry-up offense, but they got to be extremely careful. This game is not out of reach for Matt Ryan and how they throw the football and his weapons.
You remember how this team was down so big on the road at Lambeau Field a few weeks ago? They didn't come back and win that game, Atlanta, but
that's right.
Began this late season run for them. I think that confidence that came out of that second half performance. So much of the NFC still to be settled in this very window, with Seattle going against St. Louis at the moment, and of course Green Bay and Detroit, Arizona and San Francisco. They're all in action as we speak. St. Louis is putting up quite a challenge to the Seahawks in that game.
Also remember, Atlanta gets the second half kickoff, so that even gives you more reason to be careful in this situation.
And looking at all of those names for the teams for the NFC playoffs, you know, you got stories out there brewing like Aaron Rodgers being carted off the field. First half of that game, here's first and 10 throw, and it is Douglas to about the 27. So let's see if the Falcons can put something together here with 3 timeouts and a minute and a half to go, as they've had only 3 first downs in this quarter and 2 giveaways. In traffic, that's a catch by Jones with a flag from the back.
Man, was that tight. Josh Norman, Trey Mason, both right there, going to be against Carolina's defense.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 24 defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
Boy, there was a lot of congestion out there. Just the second catch for Jones for 28 total yards.
Watch Josh Norman go across. The hit comes just before the football gets there, but it's close. But Carolina, so physical here in the first half in both sides of the ball in this league. The teams the most physical, the ones that win.
Here comes the blitz, and the pass is away, and it's over to Douglas. Stays in bounds, and hold on to their timeouts with 1:10 to go.
On that tackle, that's the other thing. I said it once, Jim. These corners have tackled absolutely awesome the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Now Ryan. The arm was moving forward, incomplete pass. Charles Johnson had a hold of him. Again, the Verizon halftime report is coming up. We'll let JB and the crew help sort out the latest seeding scenarios and stories around the league. Of course, over on the AFC side, you got Denver trying to lock up the 2 in a game against Oakland, and the Broncos are up 10 in that one before halftime.
You look at this game. Not that I'm surprised by the score, but not that Carolina's ahead. Physically, they are a good football team. The difference in this game, or the makeup, is the quarterback. Can Matt Ryan overcome some of these mistakes?
Here it's 3rd and 6. And incomplete. Again, he was under pressure. Even rolling out, he had a Panther in pursuit.
Like I said, this defensive line, big key of the game. 92, Dwan Edwards is going to come all the way across. Here he comes across. Matt Ryan moving a lot. He's seeing that's a low hit, but that is outside the pocket also. Don't forget, he was outside the pocket, and once you break that pocket, you become a runner.
Now they'll give the football back to Carolina, and the Panthers have all of their timeouts in 51 seconds. And a fair catch at the 10 by Burson. 45-yard boot. Cam Newton had that car accident. Frightening just to even look at the results of the vehicle afterwards and all the things that have gone on. This is the recent timeline, but you take the full year with the ankle surgery in the offseason and
hurt in preseason.
Yeah.
Got the ribs cracked or beat because he slid head first instead of feet first.
He talked about last night how he's faced internally, as he put it, the most adversity he's ever had in a lifetime. And it's really allowed him to kind of hit a reset button on his life, a realignment moment, is what he called that car accident.
I can imagine it did, and you could almost feel it talking to him last night. I really thought they might, even with 3 timeouts, come out and kneel on the football, but they'll stick their toe in the water with a little run.
Let's do it. Pickup of 3. Jonathan Stewart.
You know why they're going to do it? Is I got a little too quick there. Atlanta still has 3 timeouts, so if you show no ambition, then Atlanta will use their timeouts. And I'll tell you what, if I was Atlanta, I would have used one right there.
Well, there's no need for Carolina to even run another play.
Well, you got to go and adjust, especially Atlanta's offense. They need to keep more protection in the backfield for Matt Ryan in the second half. I think it's a big key on how they can come back.
That's it. We're at halftime. Newton will jog to the locker room with a 3-touchdown lead. Carolina puts up 125 yards on the ground versus only 17 for the Falcons. 24-3, the Panthers lead it at halftime. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. People have been saying all week it's a playoff game. You win, you advance, you lose, you go home. And Carolina leads it 24-3 as we take a look at the Bose game changer, Newton to Dixon. There's any number of plays we could have shown you. That's one of them. Came in here thinking this was going to be a really competitive game, but it's been all one-sided to this point with Carolina controlling right down the line here. As you see the halftime stats and the 14 points off turnovers, one of them, of course, coming on the interception return for a touchdown. The other, the fumble recovery that set up the Panthers at the 5, and then Newton took it across from there. We've been hammering it all day long about the advantage they've had on down, particularly the first quarter when they had 104 of the 125.
But it settled down the second quarter. That what really turned this game around, of course, the turnovers by Atlanta's offense, or what do you want to say, the takeaways by Carolina's defense.
Ryan and the Falcons will start the second half at the 20. Now, Julio Jones, we know with the hip, he's not 100%, but he has not been a factor in this game. 2 catches, 28 yards. He's one guy that if they're going to do something here, he's got to somehow be a part of it, I would think.
Got to be a big part of it because he's going to get some single coverage. There's no reason to panic here. This game can go and you can have many possessions, but I think the Atlanta offense, like I said before the end of the first half, you got to keep an extra guy or two in there to block so Matt Ryan can settle down and feel comfortable to make throws down the field against this one-on-one coverage we've been seeing.
They run it first snap of the third quarter, and they pick up 3 with Rodgers. Let's go down to Tracy with a report.
Well, thanks, Jim. I spoke with Mike Smith coming out of the half, and no surprise, he knows they need to protect Matt Ryan better. He said, we need to win our one-on-ones. We need to help each other out. One of the things he said is they want to throw the ball more, and they need to tackle on defense. As for Ron Rivera, he said the biggest thing was the physicality in that first half, but they want to get Kelvin Benjamin more involved. Jim?
Ryan sandwich sacked at the 14 plus a flag. And now that defensive front of the Panthers just taken over, and Ryan shaken up.
Holding, number 75 offense. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Well, couple things. Right away, the troubles you had in the first half, here they go again. And Matt Ryan knows he has limited time to throw the football. But one of the first things we heard from Ron Rivera last night, Jim, and I talked about right away, the speed they have in the secondary now, it's better than they had in the past, and they can play against teams that throw the ball like Atlanta much better than they could early in the year.
Kawan Short and Thomas Davis split the sack, 3rd and 15. And Ryan, can he get out of it? No. Wes Horton this time.
Well, again, no extra blockers back there, and I did not see anybody open, but I was trying to watch both. But let's just watch the wide receivers to the top of the screen. Not here, because that's covered. And I'll tell you what, there's nowhere to go. That takes so long. The defense knows the route combinations in situations like that. And Matt Ryan had no chance.
That looked like the second quarter. That first series of the third. Bosher. All the way back to the 34 to Person. And his tackle at the 41 by Javier Arenas after a 57-yard boot. Carolina's had 20 sacks in its last 3 games here at the Dome. We're back with Carolina. Excellent starting point here.
Hey, 5-5.
41-yard line.
5-5.
Defense setting them up by getting to Ryan again. 4 sacks on the game by the Panthers defense. And that's Stewart for a couple, maybe 3.
I did say, and you know, Jim, there in the second quarter, I thought the Atlanta defense really settled down, quit taking chances, wasn't blitzing as much, and they kind of slowed this Carolina offense down after that hot start. But the 2 turnovers, that's what, of course, changed the complexion of this game.
2nd and 7. Benjamin at the top of the screen without a catch. Newton looking his way. And it's over his head. So that's the 4th target, if you will. There was no chance of catching that one. Ryan having his troubles with the pressure, and this time Newton gets knocked down.
Yeah, he does. It's Warlow, the linebacker, once again. And boy, he's an active player, very smart, knows what to do, leads the football team in tackles, directs it, makes the calls. Pretty much connected to Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, to communicate to the guys to tell them what to do.
So they knock him down, but no sacks so far in this game by the Falcons defense. To make quick work of this series, though, if they can stop him here on 3rd and 7. And there is the first catch of the game for Benjamin. And he gets off the 999 yardage total. He has a 1,000-yard season in his rookie year.
Well, how about this throw? I mean, the coverage is absolutely tremendous by Trufant. He just can't get that right hand in front. But Cam Newton, I said it in the first half, to the sideline in situations like that, can throw lasers, and defensive backs have a hard time reacting to it.
So Benjamin, 2nd rookie in terms of receiving yardage to Odell Beckham with 1,000 now and 8 yards. Here's a completion to Cotchery to the 30.
Jericho Cotchery against McClain has found his role here on this offense. But it's a blitz, and he just beats him across the field. And does Cam Newton resemble the guy that we saw about 7 weeks ago in Carolina? And of course, that answer is no.
There was
healthy.
No offensive line like the one they've got today here.
And the offensive line, but throwing the ball with such confidence.
Hey, Swoop.
The rhythm of the offense, nothing like we're seeing here either. The 10 run with Tolbert. And he's got 4 Falcons making contact with him for no gain. If you thought your fantasy season was over, it's not. You can play for free. You can win a trip to Super Bowl 50. Join today, NFL.com/fantasy.
So how'd you do? Come on, I know you're in all these fantasy leagues. Did one of your teams come through and
I got to 1 final. That's it. It was not a good year.
All right.
But, you know, we're just sorry you weren't competing again this year because we liked having the automatic W.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So you're welcome back next year.
Well, you know, it's the old thing. It wasn't me. It was my general manager.
I see.
Yes.
Corey Fishman.
Yes.
2nd and 10. The flag is out as the pass comes over to Dixon. Short gainer of 4.
Illegal shift. Offense. Multiple players moved and never reset. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
That is the first penalty of the game against the Panthers.
Well, you said it. Coming back in the second half. No turnovers. No sacks allowed. It is about as clean as you can have it. And there's their first penalty. Ron Rivera. How was it? Listen, it's not true. We don't really know. But I thought his confidence in his football team last night talking to us, he was exuding. You could feel it from him. And I see why now. Of course, I've seen a lot of coaches have confidence when their team gets blown out.
2nd and 15. Into round to the ground. He's got a gain of 12. We've got an update. JB and Boomer to explain.
Denver with the number 2 seed in mind.
All right, guys, right here, third rushing TD on the day for C.J. Anderson. He's got 57 yards in those 3 TDs. The last 2 games at home, he's got 6 touchdowns on the ground. That's right. If Denver wins, they lock up the number 2 seed in the AFC.
Back to Jim Nantz.
All right, guys, so a kid that grew up pretty close to the Raiders' home field in the Oakland area, C.J. Anderson having a big go of it, and the Broncos with plenty of breathing room there look well on their way to the 2 seed.
Ishmael down for the Falcons.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. State Farm. Pump up your savings with a discount double check today. And by Bank of America.
Skyview Atlanta as we come back inside the Dome, which will host the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on Wednesday. Ole Miss against TCU. You saw Ishmael to the bench. They've already lost Lowry, and now they got Sean Baker in at safety, having lost William Moore to IR this week, so they're thin. And this whistle stops the play.
False start. Number 74 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So William Moore on injured reserve, and then you go out and you lose a couple more safeties in this game. It's getting thin.
It is, and it's getting thin because you're talking about safeties, run stoppers. So you lose them, and now it becomes harder to blitz, to play man coverage. This Atlanta defense, it's in a quandary here what to do.
3rd and 7 from the 28. Newton falls under the hit, and they'll bring out the field goal unit. This happened in the first encounter. Started to get very chippy.
Chop blow, bar 2 doesn't really hit him.
Yeah, but the left knee turns the helmet sideways, and Cam didn't appreciate that too much. Watch the left knee of Bartu come in here, turn the head around.
Yeah, he gives a little extra there, and listen.
And then kind of holds
there.
the position. Yeah, 48-yard field goal try coming up by Gano. And Gano drills it. Three more for the Panthers. Cam Newton sits on the bench after taking his team a short distance. Started the drive at the 41, advanced to 29 yards down the field, led to a field goal and a 27-3 advantage. Hester elects otherwise.
Well, Jim, we keep talking about the pressure, but they're getting it from both ends when you talk about Carolina. Watch Josh Norman against Julio Jones. Throws him down, but it's too late. Check out this coverage. Oh, you want to run? He beats him to the spot. Going across the field, knocks the pass down, and he's being physical, frustrating Julio Jones. And this is kind of what he did up in Carolina. Same thing, stuck right to him. Played very physical, and you can't lose your composure. You got to keep fighting as a wide receiver.
Coming to the left side with Hester. And he's hit at the 25, gain of 5.
You know, Jim, a lot of teams use their safeties to cover for the big plays and to help everybody. But with Carolina, we saw it there. It's the linebackers. They mop up everything. Underneath, down the field.
Second and 5 to the ground. And just another 2 for Freeman. Let's go back to New York with an update.
Lions know what's at stake.
Well, with their first drive in the second half, they come back, they score a touchdown. Calvin Johnson, his second on the day, 4 yards, tied up 14-14. Matt Flynn started the second half for the Green Bay Packers. It looks as if Aaron Rodgers may come back in here soon for Green Bay.
Jim Nance.
All right, guys, so maybe Aaron Rodgers comes back. Here's Ryan, almost intercepted. Thomas Davis had a hand on it, almost a pick.
Yeah, it's almost a pick if he'd have thrown the original pass. So they are just on the concepts. Watch to the right. Luke Kuechly comes out there, and he gets underneath the pass to Devin Hester and makes Matt Ryan double clutch. Watch, he goes off. Boy, that is smart.
So back out is Bosher to punt. This is an Atlanta offense that has not reached Carolina territory since early in the second quarter on their field goal drive.
That is Harry Douglas. He got under Devin Hester.
Look at Burson take the hit. He's hit there by Drew Davis. 59-yard punt. Just no time for Matt Ryan. The pressure is there almost every time by the Carolina defense.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Game of War. Play free now. And by Straight Talk Wireless. The world needs more Straight Talk.
We're back in the Dome in Atlanta. Total yards better 2-1 in favor of the Panthers. 27-3, 9-1 on the scoreboard, if you will. Stewart cuts back, picks up about 4. I'll tell you one thing, Bosher, the punter for Atlanta, has pinned Carolina at the 15 or worse on 4 of his 5 punts. But a big story again is this defensive line for Carolina that has come on so strong, and their coach is Eric Washington, the defensive line coach for the Panthers. You may have seen the story this week, one of the great stories of the holidays. Coach Washington saw a television report about a single mother of 5 whose house was robbed last week, and along with Washington's wife Amy and sister Angela, they went shopping and replaced all the gifts for that family and got them there on Christmas Eve to bring some cheer and love to a family.
That's awesome.
Second and 6. Stewart again across the 20 to the 22.
Well, it's a great story, and whatever he's telling those defensive linemen, that's hitting home too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because they are absolutely, they've come out in the second half and they're overpowering like they were in the first half. So usually it swings the other way in the second half. You get dominated physically in the NFL, you make amends once that third quarter starts. But that has not happened for the Atlanta offense.
3rd and 2, 6 minutes to go, third quarter.
This is where you got to make the play to get your team back in it.
They get pressure on Newton, and it's nearly hauled in by Olsen. The hit by Baker, again seeing action because of the injuries in the secondary, prevented the pass from being completed.
Yeah, it's Watson his side coming. Massaquoi 94 hits Cam Newton, and he throws the football just off target. So that's what you need. Third down situations, and the defensive line has to give these defensive backs, like that time, a chance to make a play.
A much needed 3 and out forced by the Falcon defense. Is Nortman. Angling this one. Bounces past Hester. And is down at the 6. Crowd here is not happy about the way Hester elected to let that one bounce by him. 72-yard punt by Nortman. Sixth straight drive. Atlanta starts at the 20 or worse. Make it the 6 actually because of Nortman's career-long punt of 72 yards. Actually ties a career long. From the end zone, Ryan. Gets it out in the flat to Bear Pasco. Just a second catch of the season. And it's a short gainer of 2. Saturday CBS Sports Hoops doubleheader. You got UConn and Florida. You got some women's action too. A Big Ten bash, Maryland and Nebraska here on the road to the Final Four. There's been a few Final Fours held in this arena right here. Most recently a couple of years ago when Louisville won the title. In the championship over Michigan. 2nd and 8. Ryan's pass caught by Jones. As Norman was trying to make a play on the pick. Jones reached up, grabbed it, picked up the first.
Yeah, he can go for it. Here's why, because there's somebody going to be behind him, and Norman got to be careful. He reads the quarterback. You see that technique. Turns his back to the sideline, knows where the receiver is, watches the quarterback. 25. Almost got there.
Warriors, 58 to Mike. Warriors.
You got to worry about the right tackle against Charles Johnson.
Ben Ryan dancing around, has to. He was past the line of scrimmage when he threw it, but did not get a flag for that.
Any part of that body's on the line of scrimmage as the football goes out of his hand, it will be okay. But once again, Charles Johnson, he's right on the line of scrimmage, and that left foot could have been behind or on it. But look at that. Gets away with a dropped interception by Norman.
Saw Johnson ready to pounce. Pass not held on to by Roddy White.
What a job. Ben Wickery, the corner. It's a different team, Jim. They've seen it coming. They went down and just dominated New Orleans. And then last week, physically dominated Cleveland for the whole game, found themselves behind. But once they were behind, their offense went right down and scored and turned it around.
Atlanta's only 1 out of its last 6 on 3rd down.
It's a good point here. 2 guys in the backfield, and they don't help out.
Ryan's got Jones, first down. Near the 38. Kuechly on the coverage.
Matt Ryan moves in the pocket, gets extra time. And when you see a zone coverage like this one, that's when Atlanta and Matt Ryan can excel. Because it allows him to get rid of the football a little quicker because he knows where the open space is.
Let's go, Wolves! Wolves! 58 to Mike. 58, Sunday.
Yeah, 3-minute running back. They have not run the football at all today. It's 24 on the ground. And Ryan's pass was headed toward Devin Hester, who was open. Let's go back to JB and Boomer in New York for an update.
Hey, Jim, Aaron Rodgers on the return.
That's right. That was game 7, by the way, versus the Lakers. Randall Cobb, 2 for 2 on this drive. Aaron Rodgers dragging his left leg around. 21-14, they take the lead. 25 TD passes, 0 interceptions this year at Lambeau Field for Aaron Rodgers.
Back to Jim Nance.
Well, of course, if he can direct them to a win, he'll get the bye week. He'll get and a week, much-needed extra week off. 2nd and 10. Over to Hester. And on him right away is Colin Jones, part of this whole makeup of the secondary that's been reworked.
Well, you saw him on the punt return that backed up the Atlanta offense, and boy, they've been talking about him. And Ron Rivera said he is so athletic, so fast, can cover the slot receiver, but he's big enough and physical enough to play like a linebacker, and that's kind of how he played in college at Texas Christian down there in Texas.
Third and 10. And Ryan from behind, he's got pressure, and he's intercepted. He's intercepted yet again, and it's Thomas Davis taken off. And Davis is in for the touchdown. Flag is out in the secondary.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Number 58 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And it's called on the man who made the interception, Thomas Davis, so it's coming back and a first down for Atlanta instead.
.58 right in the middle. There's the contact. Yeah, I'd say that's pass interference. And
saw some speed out of a linebacker, though, on this one, didn't we?
Yeah, he did. Listen, he's got speed.
Number 58
he can cover
defense,
the
5 yards,
receiver.
automatic first down.
And I brought that up to Ron Rivera last night. I said, what are you going to do if he has to cover the 4th wide receiver if they bring him in the game? He goes, I like our chances with Thomas Davis. He can outrun most receivers in this league anyway, and we saw it there.
How about all year long the Carolina defense trying to follow up last year where they had 3 defensive returns for touchdowns? They had none coming into this game. They've already got 1 today and nearly a second. First one of the season.
That
Won by Roman Harper.
Game. But they still can't block him up front.
And Rodgers, again, very little there on the ground. As Steven Jackson, as we told you at the top, out with a quad.
Yeah, they've tried everything. This Atlanta offense, speeding it up, slowing it down, running on first down, trying to keep the tempo in their favor on the offensive side. It doesn't matter.
11 carries, 24 yards as a team. 2nd and 8. And Roddy White's got a new set of downs at the 41, and Kuechly's looking around.
Yeah, really good coverage, excellent throw, and Matt Ryan was really strong in the pocket.
Kuechly felt there was a push-off by Roddy White. And the toss play will be brought to a halt here by the officials.
False start. Number 63 offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Jim, they just want to get down here, some score, get this back to a 3-score game. That's what's important for this Atlanta football team, the offense.
59 somebody.
Unless it's really, really a long situation, you got to think about 4 downs.
1st and 15, pinching the edges, and almost again intercepted as Norman made a diving attempt at it. Again, Mario Addison was applying pressure.
Another good outside rusher. Haven't heard his name today. 97 against Jake Matthews, just because Charles Johnson has been beating him back there. But he is really taking a beating back there.
He's been hit a few times right in the face mask area. Saw him complaining about it earlier.
Yeah, but he's taking, you can see the ball's off target, has to make the decisions too quick. People all around him.
Timeout called by the Panthers. So Ron Rivera wants a timeout before the 2nd and 15. I know the tributes have been pouring out all day long today to a Hall of Fame sports producer who really started his career and had such an impact here on CBS for so many years and later at Fox. Bob Stinner officially retiring this weekend after some 50 years of putting on some incredible television. So many Super Bowls that were brought to you, all those years too at CBS, where he teamed up with the great Sandy Grossman, another Hall of Famer, to be a part of the crew that involved Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire, Pat Summerall and John Madden, later going, of course, with that famed duo over to Fox. And I tell you, Bob Stinner had a big impact on a lot of people that work here at CBS Sports to this day, and we wish him very great success and happiness.
Yeah, we do. I saw Bob Stinner many times when I played for the Giants. Always friendly, and of course, in this business, he did a great job.
2nd and 15. And yet again, a whistle.
False start. Number 84 offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd out.
You'd have these production teams come in. Of course, the Giants were featured so many years back on the old NFC days on CBS during your time. Did you ever think you would be on the other side of that one day when you were sitting there across from the likes of Summerall and Madden and Stinner and Grossman?
No, never occurred to me. Couldn't think that would just be unthinkable. Because, you know, you figure, I got to stay in the game. I'm going to coach. But I'm glad I didn't, because I'd have been fired a few times by now.
2nd and 20. And Roddy White pushed out of bounds at the 40 by Benwickery. Picked up 12.
It's a good job, shotgun. You know, that's what they're relegated to. Matt Ryan, I like him in the shotgun, just gives him a little extra time to look at the pass rush. But this whole game, almost everything is short right from the start. They respected that Carolina defensive line at the beginning. That's why they threw it short, but they've never been able to get out of it because they just can't handle the pass rush for too long.
3rd and 8 for Ryan. It's not going to be enough for the first down. Toilolo. I think you got to go for it now with just a minute to go in the 3rd.
I think absolutely. You stay out there. Field goes too far. You try another. But there you are. 3rd and 8. You keep an extra blocker in, and all you really can do is throw a short pass out in the flat. Carolina Panthers, they don't have to blitz or take chances because their defensive line has been getting there every time.
Got to get to the 31 to extend the drive. Ryan goes deep, and he's picked off. Intercepted by Trey Boston. Boston still going at the 20, and he has the 2nd return for a touchdown of the game for the Carolina Panthers defense.
That's what you can do. When you know the pass rush is going to get there, you sit back and you read the quarterback. And that's what Trey Boston does. He's back here. The ball's in the air. You think, oh, it's going to be completed. But he was going towards the football the whole time. Really good job.
The touchdown is good. After the touchdown, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 24 for removing his helmet of the intercepting team. 15-yard penalty on the kickoff.
So Norman, unsportsmanlike conduct will be applied on the kick. That was an 84-yard return. And again, no defensive touchdowns on the year coming in for the Panthers. They've got 2 today.
And how about the blocks he got on that return? You'd think they've been doing it all year long. Let's just look at it. You think it's going to be open. Here's the safety. Trey Mason back there. They release Douglas up the seam. And Matt Ryan, look at those blocks. Right here, comes across. That was Norman. Matt Ryan tried to anticipate the throw. Never really has a chance to look off the safety and give Douglas a little more room.
This is the first time in Carolina 20-year franchise history they've had 2 interception returns for touchdowns in a game.
And this is as physically, maybe the most dominant performance we have witnessed all year long. And we were here for a 56-0 lead by the Atlanta Falcons over Tampa Bay. But this is different. This is old school football where they just beat them.
And I tell you, a lot of people were belittling the fact that the NFC South champion was going to get into the playoffs with a losing record. But you don't want to face this team next week.
This is not a mirage. I'm not saying, I mean, to the score, they've had some big breaks and got it, but this team is going to be a handful no matter who comes in here. If it's Arizona, if it has to be, hey, it could be Seattle, right?
There's so much still up in the air with the way these late afternoon games are going into the NFC.
Into Carolina, that crowd will be fired up. And one thing, this defense, they'll be facing a stronger offense next week, maybe. But this defensive line and the physical part of the game has been the difference by far.
Well, because of the unsportsmanlike penalty, got a chance to see Hester run one here. And he'll take it from the 2. Had a 66-yard return in the first half. Well covered up. Panthers doing it in every single department. Clanton is down there in a hurry. They knock him down at the 24. That's the end of the third. 34-3, the Panthers pummeling Atlanta. Back after this message and a word from your local station. We are back for the fourth quarter here with Carolina obliterating the Atlanta Falcons and their postseason hopes. Establishing really the upper hand on the very first drive of the game. A couple of big hits on Rodgers. Still a lot to be worked out here. You just have Dallas in that first position at the moment because they won in the early window today to finish a 12-4 regular season. Seattle and St. Louis are tied in the fourth. Detroit and Green Bay still up for grabs. Ryan dumps it over the top, and Rodgers unable to hold on with Kuechly on his back.
Well, that's said that many times. A little safety valve, you could forget about it. And I don't know where to begin when I talk about the Carolina Panthers. Every level of the whole team today has been outstanding. The secondary, the linebackers are, it might be the 2 best in the NFL. You hear all those things, but that's not a stretch to say it.
That Davis and Kuechly together,
yeah, the coaches,
that's as good. That's really strong.
The coaches say it, so I trust coaches, the opposition, when they say those kind of things.
3rd and 1. Drive is down. Carolina may have jumped as the pass gets in the hands of White. Takes it out near the 50.
Was it our boy Frank Alexander? Did he, you know, he's back after being out the whole year. Ron Rivera said, I expect him to jump off sides at least once.
Offside. 95 defense. Penalties declined.
It was Charles Johnson instead. But it's a first down for the Falcons at the 48.
Well, the quarterback makes Carolina dangerous, Cam Newton. But this defensive front and the fact that it's so deep makes them a dangerous playoff team.
And Roddy White again for 7. Let's go back to New York. They're doing a great job today updating everything. Guys?
San Francisco.
How about Colin Kaepernick, his 2nd touchdown pass of the day right there to Bruce Miller in the back of the end zone. They take the lead over Arizona 20-17 as they enter into the 4th quarter.
Jim Nance, Phil Simms, and Tracy Wolfson.
All right, guys, thank you. Keep those updates coming. 2nd down and 4. Nice catch by Hester.
Boy, every play is just, it's work. Can the quarterback, I love this route they run. They fake it outside, they go around. They have a lot of little subtle double moves inside the Atlanta Falcons. You know, not enough time for Matt Ryan, so these receivers can show those moves off.
First down from the 31. And it's Douglas for 7 more. Chipping away on this drive.
Well, they've been trying to chip away all day, but of course, it's easier now. The circumstances have changed.
Timeout again. Carolina's defense.
Their second.
Calling one for the 2nd time in this half.
Timeout.
Phil, while we have a quick break, just want to pass along our love and sympathy to the family of Charlie D'Onofrio, who worked for over 40 years for CBS Sports. He was a technical director and an incredible gentleman and a part of so many of the biggest shows from the very beginning at CBS Sports until he retired back in the 1990s and passed away yesterday at the age of 92. Cut so many of our greatest shows in the history of CBS Sports. Charlie D'Onofrio, a legend inside our family. Our love and sympathy again to the whole D'Onofrio family. We still remember Charlie out on the CBS golf team. He annually is remembered. Our technical support MVP of the year is named the D'Onofrio Award winner. Here's a little swing around pass to Rogers for another first down at 15.
Well, we said at the beginning of this game today, right on camera, the first thing you asked me a question, I said, is Matt Ryan good enough to overcome the fact that Carolina might be physically the better football team?
Split out Freeman to the left. Atlanta. Can it find the end zone for the first time today? Flag is out. Ryan throws it for the end zone. It actually glanced off the fingertips of Jones. A couple of defenders back there too for Carolina.
Holding. Number 63 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Oh, Norman shaken up a little bit. You take this secondary, and again, Sean McDermott's the D coordinator for Carolina. They, in the offseason, they basically lose 4 of their top 5.
Right.
And then they start out with a group at the beginning of the year, and that 5 is pretty much, not all of them, but basically got like a whole new 5 set of DBs coming in.
You know, Jim, they have reworked this football team as the year has gone along. And, you know, now Colin Jones, the nickelback, you said it, Josh Norman, Ben Wickery, both corners. Trey Boston now coming in to start at safety. Every one of them has elevated the defense and their pass coverage, the way they play, how they're coordinated. It was evident coming into this game, and it's even more evident now.
Melvin White comes in for Norman, and again they get to Ryan. Lotulelei with the sack this time and a loss of 4.
They get so much pressure up inside with their big guys. Number 98, Lotulelei, and Kawan Short, he does it. And Dwan Edwards, when he comes in, that it just frees up the defensive ends. They can just go full speed and not worry about anything because the push is so good from the inside.
That's 5 sacks for the game. And Ryan trying to prevent a 6th. He keeps it. Slides down at the 23, and again we're going to go right up to New York for another update. JB and Boomer.
Jim, you said keep the highlights coming.
Well, Seattle's offense is finally joining the party. Marshawn Lynch is going to go in for a 9-yard touchdown run. They have scored 13 straight points in the second half. They've taken the lead 13-6. That's the 13th rush TD of the season for Marshawn Lynch over the Rams.
Back to Jim Nantz.
Of course, the Rams are always giving the Seahawks fits. Finally, Seattle takes the lead. We got Matthews down on a knee with 11 minutes to go. Got a 3rd and 18 for the Falcons. Overthrow. And again, he hits the deck.
Wow.
He is going to be sore tomorrow.
He's already sore. It's how many hits. Every time I'm watching the football go down the field, I look back, and Matt Ryan is always on the ground.
They're going to go for it on 4th and 18.
Oh, absolutely. Again, Lotulelei.
Lotulelei gets a 2nd sack on this series. They got to Ryan here 2 years ago 9 times. Last year 7 times. 6 times today the Panthers have sacked them.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Universal Pictures Black Hat. In theaters January 16th. Bose, official sound of the NFL. And by Intuit QuickBooks, supporters of small businesses and all the ways they own it.
We're back in Atlanta, which will have a new stadium for the Falcons in time for the 2017 season. Matt Ryan, 49 dropbacks today. 15 of the 49 times he's been hurried 8 times he's been hit, 6 of them sacks. Mike Tolbert for 2.
I'd say he's hit the ground 15 times. Easy.
I would say so too. We've got an update. JB, Boomer, take it away.
Jim Nance, Seattle's D. Boy, they're starting to assert themselves. JB right here. You can see this ball being taken away. It's deflected into the hands of Bruce Irvin. He's going to take it back 49 yards. How many interceptions have we seen return for touchdowns today? Seahawks lead the Rams 20-6.
Back to Jim Nance.
All right, guys, if the scores hold up as they are right now, the NFC, Seattle would be the 1, Green Bay would be the 2, Dallas the 3, Carolina the 4, Arizona the 5, and Detroit the 6. Arizona would be at Carolina next week.
Away game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
It's just under the current scoring.
If it did turn out that way, those are some tough games. Arizona at Carolina and the Detroit Lions. If anybody could stop Dallas's running game, you got to give Detroit as good a chance as anybody. Ron Rivera still fired up.
I think you look at what Ron Rivera's built here. This is his 4th year, 31 wins, 31 losses, and a tie.
Right.
And a 12-14 last year. But they have young players, good young players, in a lot of positions. They're going to be 7-8-1 this year, going to the playoffs, and they're going to be, I would think, a pretty good favorite next week if it is Arizona. And there are the makings here of something very special in the years to come.
Well, I'm not second guessing. What did I say? Last night, we were all sitting around talking. I said, hey, this Carolina team, they have restocked and they are ready. And the quarterback, they're running an offense for him. The defense is loaded now with these defensive backs becoming such a good part of what they're doing.
3rd and 12.
Got the offensive line solidified a little bit. I'm sure they'll try to improve that.
That's Whitaker picking up the 1st.
Well, that just says it all. They're playing pass. Nobody's there, but watch Whitaker. Cam Newton with a good fake, and nobody able to bring him down. So,
Whitaker, somebody I think they'd like to get the ball in the hands of a little more often.
Well, he's very good open field quickness. We just saw it there on that run. Saw him catch a screen for a touchdown recently. So, really good depth at the running back position for Carolina.
Cam with 2 on the play clock, back under center. And a give to Whitaker for a couple, but I'm talking to Coach Rivera. Last season ends, and again, the disappointment. You don't win a playoff game. You earn yourself a bye. You host San Francisco. You lose at home. Then come February, 4 of your 5 offensive linemen retire. Off season, you lose 4 of your 5 corners. You lose basically all your wide receivers. LaFell goes to the Patriots. Steve Smith, of course, ends up in Baltimore. You lose a $13 million player like Greg Hardy. We haven't talked about that yet.
Well, yeah, Mike, can you imagine if Greg Hardy was in this game today? Atlanta would have negative yards.
Then you got the quarterback with off-season ankle surgery and a preseason fracture rib injury that certainly makes things a little different at the start of the season for your team. You can't even start him week 1.
Well, you know, Jim, to interrupt you, they're here in this position because of their backup quarterback, too. Cam Newton has done a wonderful job being healthy now and playing, but Derek Anderson,
phenomenal.
He won 2 games for this team and played extremely well in both of them. Just so happened both of them were against Tampa. But Derek Anderson, man, can he stand in there and throw it too, just like Cam Newton?
Led him to 2 W's. Tampa, by the way, looked like it might win today against New Orleans, but ended up losing and will have the first pick in the draft this spring. Tennessee will be picking 2. Here is the pick. First down picked up again by Whitaker. That came on 3rd and 5. Yeah, don't make too much fun out of this team going into the playoffs with a losing record. Because I'll tell you this, on top of it, not only are they a hot team, this will be 4 straight wins, but the last 3 teams to go into the postseason with a 500 record or worse,
that's right,
they all won.
They all won. San
Diego was 8-8 back in 2008. Rivera was on that staff. They won. 2010 Seattle, this is one everybody always talks about, 7-9, and beat New Orleans, which had won the previous year the Super Bowl.
I remember that.
And then the Tim Tebow led Broncos 8-8 back in the 2011 season. Beat Pittsburgh on Wild Card Weekend in overtime. This is what we're talking about with Whitaker. He's got some explosiveness.
Yeah, you got him. Now they're getting him in the mix and in the flow. And it's just an outside stretch, it looks like. And the blocking is tremendous. Nobody can get off the blocks. Boy, that's a good block by Brandon Williams, the tight end. And then you got to look at it too, Jim. D'Angelo Williams, there he is on the sideline, will probably be ready to play next week. So they are deep and loaded at running back right now.
He was very close to being ready for this one.
Yeah, you got to be sitting over there going, man, I wanted a piece of this today, because there's been some nice holes for the running backs to run through.
Whitaker, by the way, has 36 yards on this series on the ground. He gets another handle. Give him now one more, 37. That's 7 more yards on the ground than Atlanta has for the entire game.
Well, as you look out there in the field, if you look on the TV set usually doesn't lie. The bigger team is the Carolina Panthers. And of course, it was easy to see all day long, both sides of the football, who the most physical team was.
So Boston over there, who had a touchdown return in this half. Tolbert for 2. Cam Newton always wanted to come play in the Georgia Dome in high school. You know, get the states here. Never did it, but in college you got to come here for an SEC championship.
That's right.
And of course, being in the division, he gets to come home once a year. This one has to be so satisfying. He's got a suite here.
Yeah.
And, you know, lets the family, lets his dad take care of the guest list.
Dad's the security guard. He takes care of everything, which was really cool. Because when you're playing quarterback, you don't want to know anything about logistics and all that. You just want to concentrate on your job and trying to win the game.
Grew up a huge Falcon fan. It's Colbert. Ran into his teammate Olsen.
Cam Newton loved Michael Vick. And he was here. Of course, when Michael Vick was here, man, he might have been the most exciting player in the league. He brought up Michael Vick, Dan Reeves, and of course, the Dirty Bird.
Remember it well. And they've used the clock for almost 8 minutes, mercifully, on this very drive, and it's a 4th and 8. And they're going to keep the offensive unit on the field. Ron Rivera might call a timeout, not right now. Just 2:41 to go before we officially advance Carolina into the postseason. Back in Atlanta, and Carolina on 4th and 8 with 2:41 to go. They go with Whitaker. Got the edge, but could not get past the last man. So Jumbo was there to stop him. Atlanta takes over on downs, 2.5 to play.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T-Mobile and by Subway Restaurants. Get your own big hot pastrami melt at Subway.
We are back, and Atlanta keeps Matt Ryan on the field, even though he's taken a beating. It's Freeman, and tackled well behind the line of scrimmage. Lotulelei is having a big afternoon of it. And they've been celebrating for a while. Jonathan Stewart, the latest to do so on that Carolina sideline.
You said it. How about that one stretch? You talked about it. 1-8-1 over 10-game stretch.
And now they're going to be 4-0 over the last 4 weeks. Beating New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and today, emphatically, Atlanta. Early headlines. Dallas again strong today, 12-4. But it looks like they will not clinch that first round bye because both Seattle and Green Bay have the 2 touchdown leads late. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers season ends Kansas City. And with their loss and the Ravens win, even though the Browns had the lead in that game in the second half, it's Baltimore who takes the final berth in the AFC. They'll be the 6th seed. Right. And that should be incomplete. He is pile driven into the ground by Ben Jacobs. Should that have been a catch? Catch fumble?
I don't think so. That was slow motion, so if you do it in full speed, it's going to be boom, boom. And anytime it's like that, it's not a catch. So that was a good call on the field by the officials.
We're looking through those early headlines. Looks like the Cowboys will be the 3 seed and be hosting Detroit next week. Lolo with a little stiff arm. It helps him pick up the additional yardage for the first down.
Feeling Ron Rivera might get a little wet here before this is over. Oh yeah, here they go.
Mike Tolbert, Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis has had some game. He's the nominee from the Panthers for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. What a special award that is around this league. And of course they announced the finalists and then the winner at the Super Bowl. Running low, that's Rodgers for about 8. The lineup tonight on CBS, 60 minutes. Going to hear from Friends of the Pope. What makes Pope Francis so special? Going to hear that report tonight on 60 minutes. Plus Undercover Boss on the final season of The Mentalist and CSI on America's #1 network. Call it 2nd and 1. Rodgers brought down by Alexander. Alexander, who was suspended early in the year, and then there was the new policy between the league and the NFL Players Association. He kind of got a little, double jeopardy type situation.
Yeah, he did.
Suspended another 10 games, so he wasn't eligible to return till last week, and they made him active today. And Alexander, number 90, could be somebody you'll see during the playoffs.
Well, they said he practiced this past week. He was phenomenal.
Picks up the first down. This Rodgers to the 41 with the clock running inside 40. And here it comes, Coach. Warning.
Oh, Jesus.
They got him good.
That was good.
That was dead center flush.
And what was so great, he was just yelling at the defense, come on, let's finish. So
I know he doesn't want him in the end zone here. And of course Atlanta not in any great hurry. Just going to hand it off again. Almost able to spring free. That's Rodgers. And that is going to do it. Carolina 34-3 victory. You know, you saw on the tackle back there, Carrington bind him. He is still down on the field now, just getting to his feet, just on his feet, but it looked like a little tweak of a hamstring on the tackle. Cam Newton, how about his performance today?
He was fantastic. The whole team was. The defense was phenomenal. How they took advantage of the situation against this Atlanta offense.
On to the playoffs for the Panthers. They become the first team in the NFC South to win it back-to-back years. Here you go. Seattle and Green Bay both have sizable leads late. It appears this is the way it's going to end up, barring anything crazy at the end of those games. Dallas the 3, Carolina the 4 will end up hosting Arizona. And Denver is just minutes away from locking up the 2 in the AFC with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Again, that's the game tonight, playing for the division. And the winner will be the 3. The loser will be the 5. The winner will get to host a game next week. The loser will end up traveling to Indianapolis. First ever back-to-back playoff berths coming up for the Panthers. Meanwhile, a rough day for Atlanta, and probably changes on the way.
Yeah, changes on the way. The good thing for Atlanta, the one good thing is they do have a franchise quarterback here in place.
They go from hard knocks in the preseason to being knocked out week 17. Phil, I'll see you come playoff time next week. We'll find out the playoff schedule tonight. Everybody will. 34-3 is the final here. 60 minutes tonight leads off the lineup. Then undercover boss, the mentalist, and CSI. For Phil and Tracy, Jim Nance saying so long from Atlanta. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. JP in New York coming up after this.